Hey, I'm Brandy at brandystamps.com, and this is the Great American Stampin Show. This is a competition where I'm going to show you my best work, and my 3 competitors will do the same. You get to vote by saying like or thumbs up here on YouTube, and then we will announce a winner on Sunday. So for our season opener last week, we had all agreed to wear our crowns, and I forgot to wear mine. But guess what also happened? I did not win last week. So alas, my crown gets no chance to be worn at this time. We'll have to see if I can win you guys over this week. Our challenge is layout number 2 from our annual catalog. So let me show you what that is. So here is our annual catalog, and if you switch to page 22, you will find 22 adorable little layouts here in the bottom of page 22. So for week 2, episode 2 of season 3 of the Great American Stampin Show, we are right here on card number 2, this teeny tiny little image. I took an image and printed it out so that we could get a better look at what it is, and this is how the layout looks. So if I'm looking at this layout, here's what I see. I see a card base. I see a layer that is kind of smallish. It shows a big space around, so you can see the color of that card base. I see some kind of a label here. Could be any kind of a die or a punch or whatever you were to choose. And then behind that is a bit of ribbon, and it's in what we call a faux bow. So it's a fake bow. I do this by making the letter Z. Zoom, 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 just like that. And then you just kind of scrunch it all together in the middle and put it behind your label. And what ends up happening is, because you have a loop on each side and an end on each side, it looks kind of like there's a bow behind there, hence the name faux bow. So this is kind of what I got when I looked at this. And my very first thought was probably this layer right here would be designer paper, and then you'd have some kind of a greeting right here. And wouldn't that be such a quick and beautiful layout? I would support that decision, but I decided to switch it up. I decided to make this layer be my greeting and this layer be the decoration. So I'm going to switch this little guy out for a little black strip, and then we're going to decorate the strip up a little bit. So what I've pulled in is my Hooray for Surprises die set. This is a fun die set that came out in our mini catalog that started in January earlier this year. It does kind of the surprise pop-up pieces. I did a whole card club based on this. I think I have another video that shows 4 cards made out of this, so you can go check that out on my channel too. But what I grabbed here are just the flower and the little leaf die. And I cut each of those pieces so that I would have a flower and a leaf like so. And I'm actually going to tear off half of this. So look at that, 2 for the price of 1. And we'll just stick with 1 half of that and a little leaf, little flower, okay? So I'm gonna put those together with my Z-fold ribbon, and we'll see what we've got then. So I'm going to start by using a mini glue dot, and I'm just kind of rolling it right off of the sheet so that I can hide it behind one of my leaves here, and that'll be the point where it's glued at. So let's kind of stick this right about there. That should be plenty to hold it in place. And then I know I want my flower something like this, so I'll put a couple of glue dots behind there as well. Now I'm going to pop in here with my scissors and cut this little end off at a diagonal. Now I'll use this little bit to cut the other side off in a matching diagonal, just so I get the kind of parallel lines here. And instead of just attaching my ribbon how it is, it's a tiny bit thick, so I'm going to use my scissors to cut right up the center of this ribbon so that I'll have a piece that's half as wide. Now I'll make my Z fold just like I talked about. We'll position it right behind this piece. I'm just going to flip this over and use dimensionals to attach it in place. And now this is what we've got. So this little piece becomes this. And now for this big piece here, I am going to use some word stamps, and this will be my greeting. So the stamp set that I have reached for is the brand new Thanking You background piece. I hadn't even used this yet, hadn't gotten it wet, but I love a giant font. So here is how the stamp looks. I've got it all mounted on the effing huge block. That's what I like to call this one because it's the F block and there's a reason. What I'm going to do is ink up this stamp in Versamark and apply some of our soft pastel chalk. I don't know if you guys have used this before, but we're going to try out a fun technique today. So the soft pastels are sold in a set in our catalog. You get all 8 of these cool colors of chalk. And the way I'm going to use them today is to take a scrap of paper and just color some chalk onto the paper for me to use. So let's color some blue. This is kind of the Coastal Cabana color. And see how it creates quite a bit of dust as I'm coloring on here. It just kind of crumbles up. I can pick that up and use it on my project. Now let's go for this green color. Okay, so we can set that aside now. Let's ink up our layer. Of course, I've had to rotate it now to the side, which is totally allowed with these templates. I just needed to rotate it so the words thank you could fit. They are wider than they are long. So I'm inking this up with my stamp facing upward and the ink pad facing down, just bringing the ink to the stamp instead of the other way around. And then when I press this down, I'm going to give it some really good pressure and make sure that everything connected because I want a really nice inky stamp. Okay, now we'll just lift this right off. That ink is almost invisible. If you look at it in the right light, you can see it. But what I'm going to do is daub some of the chalk right on here. So I'm picking up my sponge dauber. These are little just finger sponges. Their finger fits right in this plastic on the end. And I'm tapping in the chalk to pick some up. I'm just going to start tapping on this thank you. As I tap it, I can see when I've coated each part of the stamp, and my goal is to touch everything with chalk so there's no exposed Versamark left. Isn't that fun how that just starts to appear? Now I'll switch over to my other dauber, pick up some of the green chalk, same thing, other side of the stamp. Okay, now comes the best part. I'm going to swirl it. Now I'm giving it a little bit of pressure, possibly a little more color, and I'm pushing and I'm swirling. Now I couldn't do this before because I might smear the Versamark, but once I had coated everything with Versamark, now I can start to swirl. So we'll go back to the blue and just start to swirl. And you can see how that kind of fills it in and darkens it. I'm also doing a little overlapping. So those blue and green tones are meeting in the middle and creating a lovely mix. So it kind of fades, almost creating a third teal tone in the middle. And once you've got that coated the way you want it, you can just pick this up. You can blow the dust off. I always worry where it'll go though. So I just put it over my garbage, give it a hard flick, and that's what we've got. So you can see there's still a little cloud of chalk dust out around the words, but the words are really nicely highlighted with our chalk. So let's see how this card is going to come together. I'm going to lay down the thank you right up here along the top fold of our card. And I'm going to use dimensionals in 3 corners, but not the 4th one. I'm also going to give a little kind of a curl. I just want the very slightest roughing up of this layer just to create a little interest. Okay, I've got dimensionals on those 3 corners. I'm also going to roll some Seal Plus in the middle and down here so this part can glue directly to my card base. So we've got these 3 ends kind of popping up. Let this one glue all the way down, because right here we will attach our little embellishment that we've created. Let's peel all of these just like that. Let's clean up these little ends. Make them super pretty. And that is how this layout idea became this card. Things that I love about how this card turned out. It's so beautiful, the fade from green to blue. That technique kind of gives it just that speaks for the card itself. And then this little embellishment is so simple, but does give it something pretty. I loved switching where you might have thought the words and the decoration should go. And of course, switching the direction, vertical or horizontal, is always allowed. So I hope you love this card as much as I do. I think this iridescent ribbon gives it just the elegant touch it needed to finish off. And that's it for today, you guys. This card is so simple and pretty. I hope you love it as much as I do. If you like this card, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out all my competitors' projects. They are located in my description. You can find links for Shannon, Jody, and Julie. And I want you to honestly vote for whichever one is your favorite or the best representation of our layout assignment this week. If you are not subscribed yet, please hit subscribe now so you won't miss a single thing. And I will see you back soon with more crafty inspiration. Bye!